Alright guys, what's going on? Today's session was lower body pull and upper body push. So you guys are going to see all the training videos in a couple of seconds. Just want to run through the session so you guys have an idea of what to expect. Started off with block A, which was lower body pull. It was a trap bar deadlift for 3 reps, so 3 heavy but not maximum effort reps. Then we moved over to a band resisted Romanian deadlift with a kettlebell. That was done for 8 to 10 reps. And then the last one on block A was a glute bridge with sliders under my feet. So you're moving your feet kind of back and forth to train the hamstrings. Second block, block B, upper body push. Normally I do this as a giant set, so I'll do 3 exercises together. Today I did 2, and then I finished off with dips. So I started off, I did incline bench press for sets of 8 to 10, and then I moved into an iso hold push-up for in around 30 seconds. I did try and hold a little bit longer on all 3 sets, all 3 rounds. And then I finished off with 2 sets of dips. Just 8 to 10 reps. I was already pretty fried at that stage, so like they were near enough to failure. And then I did a couple of minutes of cardio. I think I did 15 minutes of cardio just to kind of cool down and catch my breath again and cool off. So that's kind of what you're going to see in the next couple of minutes. And I'm going to voice over some of the exercises, probably all of them, just to give you more of an insight into the technique, into how you're executing certain things. And I got a couple of clips of the warm-up as well, so different things you can do before you go into like a heavy deadlift or a heavy squat session, even to warm up your glutes, your hamstrings, your upper back, just get everything kind of fired up and get everything ready to go, so that when you do get into your heavy sets, when you do get into those bigger lifts, you're in a better position, A, to lift the weight that you're trying to lift, but B, to lift it as efficiently as possible, which is important as well. People just think get the weight from A to B. Getting the weight from A to B with shitty form, or when you haven't warmed up properly, is only going to lead to injury. So that's really important to avoid that. So we're going to get into the workout. Warm up, lower body pull, upper body push. Let's go.
All right, so we are getting into the warm up for the lower body pull section. Or portion of today's session. We're starting off with some ankle mobility. Before I get into any kind of lower body routine, I like to roll the bottoms of my feet with a lacrosse ball, smash my feet with a lacrosse ball, and use the lacrosse ball as well to open up the glutes. When it comes to the ankles, my ankles are a little bit stiff sometimes, so I do take a little bit more time and put a little bit more effort into ankle mobilization before squats, deadlifts, anything like that. So these are ankle cars, controlled articular rotations, and all you're doing is bringing the ankle through its natural movement. So you're flexing and extending, inverting and everting, and rotating right to left and left to right. So you're just bringing the ankle through a couple of movements, bringing your foot up and down, side to side, and then around in circles as well. From there, we moved into the glute bridge with the band pull apart. So this is an iso hold glute bridge. So you start off in a bridge position, bring your hips up, drive down with the heels of your feet. Keep the hips nice and high, keep the hamstrings and glutes engaged. Drive the shoulder blades down into the floor, and then you proceed to do the band pull aparts. So we did these for 15 reps. Nice and steady, just focusing on pulling the shoulder blades together, getting the upper back warmed up, rear delts warmed up, and just getting things ready for some heavy pulls. And then we've moved on finally to mini band adduction. So this is kind of a twofold exercise. So it starts off with an iso hold. So you're just holding that position that I'm in now, the band wrapped just above the knee, and you're pushing out against the band with the knees and holding that position for 20 to 30 seconds. And whatever you do in terms of seconds, you'll then do in reps. So if you do 20-second hold, you'll do 20 reps, and it's just taking tension off that and the knees fall in, and then pushing back out. Really nice warm up here for glutes, adductors. Just gets things fired up and ready to go. For the deadlifts, so we did trap bar deadlifts today. It was sets of 3. Wasn't doing any kind of maximum effort. This wasn't 1 rep max or 3 rep max. It was sets of 3 at 150 kilos. Knees pushed out towards the elbows, keep the back nice and strong, the feet driven into the floor, and good strong pulls. From there, we moved on to a band resisted kettlebell RDL. So with the band here, we're just focusing, we get to the top of the movement there, pushing the hips forward, squeezing the glutes, and really just putting as much stress on that resistance band as we can. As I'm coming down, pushing the hips back, keeping the shoulder blades pulled back, head in a neutral position. Kettlebell comes down between the balls of the ankle, the balls of my feet. Hips kick back, legs kept fairly straight, slight bend in the knee, and then we drive back up to the top position. And then we move into a glute bridge with a slide. These have very quickly become one of my favorites on lower body or leg day. Real simple setup. You set up a glute bridge, you put the sliders under your heels, and you perform a hamstring curl. So you're keeping the hips up, hamstrings and glutes stay engaged, hips up nice and high. You'll see here I'm bending at the elbow, bending the arm at the elbow, and I'm kind of driving the back of my arm, where my tricep down into the floor to give myself a little bit more balance and more stability. Bringing the feet as far forward as I can comfortably while being able to complete that rep. And you can do these with sliders, you can do them, you know, if you have socks on a wooden floor or a towel, anything that'll move forward and back, you can use here. Then we're gonna move into the upper body push portion of the workout. So we started off with bench press, incline bench press. Nothing impressive in terms of weight, 60 kilos, and we're just bringing the bar down to the chest, making sure we get a touch, and go again. So you can't really tell from the angle, but when you get to the bottom, the shoulder blades are pulled together. And as we move up to the top, we're kind of opening the back up and letting the shoulder blade come out around the ribs to really kind of force that contraction towards the middle and the top end of the chest. Personally, I prefer the incline. I'm looking to develop a bit more upper chest and upper body strength here. So sets of 8 to 10, really nice addition. Like I said, personally, I prefer incline pressing over flat. Just think it's a better angle to hit the chest from. And then we moved into an iso hold push-up. So hands on dumbbells, down to the bottom position, and it's a hold, I think here for about 30 seconds. Now generally I'll do the upper body push portion the same fashion as I'll do the lower body pull, which is a giant set, 3 exercises back to back. On this particular day, we were stuck for a little bit of space. So I went from the bench press to the iso hold push-up for 3 rounds, sets of 8 to 10 on the bench, and sets of 20 to 30 seconds, maybe a little bit longer on the iso hold push-up. And then I finished things off with 2 sets of bodyweight dips, and I only managed to get kind of 8 to 10 reps on these. Arms, chest was already kind of fried, but we finished off on dips for 2 sets of 8 to 10, which is borderline failure. You'll see the range here is a little bit short. I don't go terribly deep on these just because my right shoulder gives me a little bit of trouble every now and again, so I don't go all the way down when I'm doing dips. But that was lower body pull, upper body push. Nice workout for any of you guys looking for something new. Alright guys, so that was the training session. It was lower body pull, upper body push. Hope you guys took some pretty good tips from that workout, particularly for the likes of the warm-up and just structuring your training sessions to be more efficient with your time. I want to talk about 2 kind of bigger myths around training and around nutrition, just to kind of, you know, give you guys something to take from this video that you can action kind of straight away. The first myth that I want to talk about is this idea of no pain, no gain. A lot of people kind of have this idea that if you're not sore, if you're not absolutely dying and dragging ass for a couple of days after a workout, that workout wasn't effective. And that is a completely false way of looking at things. Simply because if you train so hard in this session today that you're negatively affecting tomorrow's workout, tomorrow's training session, that pattern is going to continue through the week. If Monday is so hard that Tuesday suffers, you're naturally going to feel that effect then again on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and your energy levels are going to dip from Monday to Friday throughout the week because you're constantly trying to push yourself as hard as you can, as hard as you think is possible on the day. I'm a much bigger fan of this idea of stimulate, don't annihilate. Go into the gym, get your sets in, do the work, but do as much work as you can while still allowing yourself, you know, recovery in time for tomorrow's workout or your next workout. Like the workout you do today should not affect your next workout. I mean, don't get me wrong, if you're training, you know, like a bodybuilder and you're smashing legs on one day and you're smashing chest the next day, there's no carryover between those sessions. There's no carryover from leg day to chest day. But
If you're like most people and you're doing maybe some classes at the gym, if you're doing your own program, maybe following a full body training program, then your sessions are going to have some carryover from each session to each session, each workout to each workout. So if you're training full body a couple of times a week, you don't need to go in and smash legs on Monday, because you're probably going to be doing some form of leg work again on Tuesday or Wednesday or whenever your next workout is. So try and avoid that, no pain, no gain. Are you going to be a little bit sore after a good workout where you're pushing yourself a little bit further than your comfort zone? Absolutely. But like I said, just consider your next session. If you're squatting today and you know you're going to do some lunges or something on Tuesday or Wednesday, just take that into consideration and try not to just fry your body once a week. Try and consistently give it some kind of stimulus and give it something to respond to 3, 4, 5 days a week. It's much more effective, much more efficient, and you're not going to fatigue, you're not going to tire yourself out. It will allow you to train 5 or 6 days a week as opposed to 2 or 3 days a week if you're going hard every single session. The second thing I want to talk about is this thing of like not eating carbs after 6 o'clock in the evening and not eating carbs after 6 p.m. That is complete bullshit, okay? Individually, person to person, you might enjoy having a later meal after 6 o'clock in the evening. That might be something that suits you. You might eat after 6 o'clock in the evening and just feel like shit. It might just tire you out and cause you to feel fatigued, and it might affect your sleep. And if that's the case, then by all means cut out meals after 6 o'clock in the evening if you prefer to cut out meals after 6 o'clock in the evening. But if you're looking to lose weight, to drop body fat, to get in better shape, you don't need to. It's not a necessity. What you should be focusing on is your overall calorie intake every day of the week. You need to make sure you're in a calorie deficit. If your body needs 2,500 calories every day just to do the tasks that you do every day on a daily basis, whether it's go to work, train, work out, get your steps, whatever you do out on a daily basis, your body might need 2,500 calories to complete all those tasks. Basically, it needs 2,500 calories to run that engine to complete those tasks. What you need to do is pull your calories back down, maybe to 2,000 calories. So you're consuming 2,000 calories, and all you're doing there is creating a deficit. And a calorie deficit just means that you're going to burn more calories over the course of a day than you consume. So your body's going to have to pull that extra energy that it needs from somewhere else. Where's it going to pull it from? Excess fat stores. And that's how calorie deficits and fat loss basically works. But when you consume those calories, it doesn't make a whole lot of difference. As long as you're in a calorie deficit consistently at the end of the day, you're fine. That's priority number one. You can get into talking about athletes and time of your meals and all these different things, all these different considerations that you have for people that are performing or competing at a higher level. For most people, just look at your calories, look at your protein intake. Those are kind of your two, main considerations when you're looking at fat loss or weight loss. And if you want to kind of figure out where you should be, how many calories you should be consuming, how much protein you should be consuming, my advice, my guideline that I give to all my clients is take your target body weight in pounds and multiply it by 12 to get your total daily calorie intake. And then take your target body weight in pounds and multiply it by 1, and that gives you your target protein intake each day. So let's say, for example, if you are 165 pounds and you want to get to 150, you multiply 150 by 12, it gives you 1,800 calories a day. That's your daily calorie intake. And then 150 by 1 gives you 150 grams of protein. Now, if you're somebody who struggles with protein intake and you think 150 is high and it's not achievable, you can drop that number down a little bit and work your way up to it. If you're somebody who, let's say you review your food, you take a food diary for a week to kind of see where you are at the minute. If you find out you're on 2,200 calories and you're only taking in 60 or 70 grams of protein a day, drop the calories first off to 1,800, but we're only going to bring the protein maybe to 110 or 120 grams, and then we're gradually going to increase that over the period of 2 or 3 or 4 weeks to give your body a chance to adapt and to give you a chance to adapt to make sure that the process isn't too overwhelming or too stressful for you, because that's what causes you to kind of go, fuck it, I'm out, and just forget about the whole thing. And that's what you want to avoid. You want to make sure that the process is manageable, it's realistic, you're setting yourself daily goals, daily tasks. If your target for the day is 120 grams of protein and you have 4 meals a day,
each meal should have 30 grams of protein. And you're breaking your kind of your checklist or your tasks, your goals down into these smaller things that you just do every day. You know, like you're not very active. Let's say you're averaging 4,000 or 5,000 steps a day. Your daily goal might be, I want to hit 10,000 steps. I'm going to take the stairs at work instead of the escalator or the lift. I'm going to have 4 meals. Each meal is going to have 30 grams of protein. And I'm going to try and get to the gym and get a workout in maybe 3 days a week. You know, and it's realistic, it's achievable, it's a small start, but it's a couple of steps in the right direction, and it gets the ball rolling, and it gets you some momentum. And it's not overwhelming, it's not stressful, and that's the key. It's keeping things, you know, as manageable, as realistic, as I said, as possible, so that you can stay consistent with it. And not just stay consistent for 6 weeks or 8 weeks, but stay consistent for 6 months or 8 months or a year or forever if you want. It's building these small habits and making sure that what your approach that you're taking is sustainable, and that you can keep this going long term. You're not drastically cutting calories, you're not drastically increasing the amount of training you're doing. Small increments, build on build and build and build over a period of weeks or months or years. Build your foundation. Make sure that every day you're doing something to move forward towards your goals, and just stay consistent, and you will get there. You know, you have to be consistent, you have to be patient. You're not going to see drastic results in 4 weeks, but you will start to see small changes, and you will start to see small changes in the next 4 weeks, and the 4 weeks after that, and the 4 weeks after that, and the 4 weeks after that. And 5 or 6 months down the road, you look at where you started, you look at where you are now, and then you see the difference. You see that drastic change that you were looking for. But you had to be consistent, you had to be patient, but you got there. And that's kind of the message I want to get to you guys about, you know, whether it's about training and going hard on training or going hard on your diet. It's small steps, be consistent, be patient, and just keep putting in the work. Make things as manageable as possible. Daily checklists, things that you just do on a daily basis. Build your habits over a period of time, and the results will come.
Alright guys, that's it for vlog number 2. If you have any questions that you want covered, any topics you want covered in more detail over the next couple of videos, do drop me a comment below. Let me know. Don't forget to do these few things right here, and I'll catch you guys soon.